Not exactly hidden. The food is good. It is very, very good. No doubt Chef Vin Roan Many Minds would compete with some of the best humanity has to offer. No problem. She's managed to recreate a Japanese feel to the platter without having any real ingredients that would work. There is so much red meat, barely anything green in sight. Not that she hasn't worked a minor miracle with some garnishes and sauces to really recreate the look and general taste. It's heartier than his usual fare, though. They've been going really thin on the ground with spices and sauces in order to stop the kids from possibly grabbing some hot mustard or something and hurting themselves with it. Well, I think you found the better part of these parties. The food is good, even if everything else is, Koga begins before giving the entire room a look. There are few polite words for it. Fucking wasteful? Disgustingly over the top? Damn absurd? This is definitely a massive case of culture shock he's having. He's fairly sure that there's something about simplicity or restraint about nobility back home. He vaguely remembers a Michelin star chef explaining that his highest-rated dessert ever wasn't the expensive, complicated dessert that he could whip up with chocolate and flour and what appeared to be an actual miracle to get some immensely complicated dish, but rather a perfectly ripe mango cut in half and on a simple plate, which is very much the sort of thing Koga would prefer as well. There's an elegance in simplicity, none of which is visible in the room, or perhaps not in anything but the food. Koga's glancing at the plates, and it seems the individual parts of the dishes are actually fairly robust and simple, just artfully arranged and in small sizes so they can be in greater numbers and stylized. So, the question is burning away in my mind, but if this is a modest party, what does a normal or extravagant one look like? Koga asks. Well, at this level of wealth, a normal party would have an individual chef for every guest and their plus one on the list, and there would be a secondary party where anyone could arrive and eat the leftovers. It would likely take place on a mobile platform, and instead of a few individual musicians, there would be a full orchestra. It would be very open and more of a city or statewide festival. And an indulgent one? There would be another tier up. As a party grows more and more indulgent, you build on top of it. So we would have this level of party for the entire duchy, the second level of party for hundreds or thousands of lower regarded guests, and surrounding the hatch day girl and the truly personal invites would be some massively expensive servants and perhaps even specially cloned individuals designed to be entertainment for a single night on top of lavish gifts for the better regarded guests. At that level or party, the central celebration would be in space beyond any system so that local laws simply don't apply. Dear God. I've only been to one party like that. I left when they brought out the half-grown clones of celebrities wearing only jewelry. Koga's mouth drops open as he tries to contemplate that. So that's how I got a reputation as a bit of prude, Uth Tyr states, and Koga closes his mouth with a bit of a click as he reevaluates the situation around him. Compared to that, this disgraceful display is outright humble. Our hatch day girl got their most recent baby sibling out of that party, Uth Tyr says, and Koga pauses again. It's an act of will to suppress the full body shudder, and he keeps the outright gag of disgust down. Good fucking God. Please tell me this is just an eccentric sense of humor coming out on your part. Koga outright pleads. No, I'm afraid not, she says, and he suppresses the wince. Of course it isn't. If it gets worse than that, I don't want to know it. Koga mutters before he takes a bite out of the mildly sushi-ish roll of meat. Its delightful smoky flavor and the grains of salt that really bring out the strength of the meat is wonderful on the tongue even as a black hole opens in his stomach. He shouldn't be too surprised. After the scandals on Earth and what white-collar criminals get away with, Is it any wonder that things would be kicked up a notch or 20 in the galaxy at large? He needs away from these lunatics before the quickly growing urge to stab somebody gets the best of him. Well, if you're a prude, then I'm outright repressed. Do you know if there's a garden or a balcony nearby where we can get out of this gaudy cacophony? Koga asks Uth Tyr, who smiles but is cut off by obnoxious laughter. Oh! Ho 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 ho! The little alien is overwhelmed! How adorable! An Apuk woman in a bright red dress exclaims. The drill-haired idiot has clearly checked off every item on both the spoiled brat and blonde bimbo lists, and is more than halfway down the useless noble one as well. Although what half Koga cannot say. Vasil Maro, how wonderful to see you. Uth Tyr's voice is dry enough that even the clearly sauced-up woman sobers up a touch. Uth Tyr, always the party pooper. I suppose it makes sense that a frail little something would be all you could bring. Vasil Mazel simpers out. Let's go. It's clear that this corner of the room is not a pleasant one. Koga remarks. Let's find some place that's sweeter on the ears. I think that would be... Uth Tyr begins. Now hold on. Your little boy toy is carrying steel. What's the matter? Not willing to carry it yourself? Vasil Mazel asks drunkenly. Madam, you are clearly inebriated. I suggest some water and to sit down for a few minutes. Koga says gently as he takes a step away from Vasil Mazel, who steps up to confront him and then grabs him by the howry. Now I imagine that Vasil Mazel begins as she reaches for Koga's katana and he grabs her wrist to stop her from touching it. Do not lay your hands upon me or my possessions, madam. Koga states firmly, and she instantly starts to try and pull away. Koga lets her go and she staggers back. What do you think you're doing? How dare you try to break my wrist? She demands, and Koga tilts his head. Is your wrist even bruised? He asks. I will have satisfaction, she shouts out. The music starts to dim as the room gives them their attention. Ma'am, Koga says in a clear tone that projects clearly. You are clearly inebriated. Please have a seat somewhere so you can calm down and not... Fetch my guardswoman. She'll teach this Tret-born manners with the edge of her sword, Vasil Mazel calls out. So after all that drama, you're not even going to fight yourself. I thought nobility was invited to this party, not brazen cowardice. Koga challenges her and takes control of the situation. Vasil Mazel staggers back as if physically struck and then suddenly rallies, even as she pulls on the axiom around her. Fine. Guardswoman, give me your sword. I'll teach these two manners myself. Your quarrel is with me. Leave it with me. Or are you too craven to actually fight someone armed? Koga needles further. This idiot is drowning in pride, and if he can use that, then he can get mostly out of this situation and then have plenty of excuse to slip away or retire early. Oh? And I guess prudish little Uth Tyr has too delicate a constitution to actually... You are a slimy shit, aren't you? How is it that the drunken louse becomes more unpleasant when she's purged herself of her intoxication? Koga asks. And Vasil Mazel's glare increases and she huffs tongues of red and blue flames. Guardswoman, bring me your sword. I'll carve up this stupid piece of arm candy. I'll send you back to whatever low-budget fashion company you belong to in pieces. Well, aren't we pleasant? Koga asks, to egg her on a little more before the guard arrives, and Vasil Mazel tries to outright snatch the large war sword from the woman. What are you doing? Uth Tyr asks. Establishing some boundaries. The music dying off is a happy side effect. Do you think she has any idea you're a sorcerer? I've stopped being surprised one way or the other when someone knows or does not know what I am, Koga remarks. Everyone to the center floor. If there's a duel, then it is to be seen by all. Duchess Salm announces, and side by side with Uth Tyr, Koga starts heading that way. So is this considered a breach of some etiquette or a typical part of the festivities? It's perhaps a touch earlier than usual, but dueling is fairly popular. Although it's usually between women or, if we're really lucky, war princesses seeking to put on a show. Tyr explains as all the music shifts into something that actually harmonizes together. Something that indicates tenseness and vaguely reminds Koga of someone plucking on violin strings as someone else plays a piano as lightly as possible. An alien sorcerer is really going to shake things up then, Koga remarks as they enter the area that's outright descending into the floor. The glass-covered tiles are on pistons of some kind as they leave a small enclosed arena for Koga to fight Vasil Mazel in. As he steps off the last step, they all sink into the floor and leave him no way out as he waits for his opponent to stomp down the stairs. The new walls that surround him are further golden statue carvings. The tiles are so big that they're taller than him. The floor isn't golden tile, it's golden pillars. She has reinforced high heels and Koga just barely resists rolling his eyes at that. Geta can be annoying to fight in if you don't know the trick, but they're at least a fairly solid foundation to fight from. Heels? Even reinforced, heels can and will break your fucking ankle if you try to do anything fancier than a saunter. Even if she's reinforced to the eyeballs with Axiom, she's still going to have absolutely shit balance. There's a reason only battle princesses fight in heels, and they've got a technique that increases their stability and stance to the point they're basically not in heels. The large two-handed sword with barbs along its length is held in one of Vasil's hands, and she glares at him in a fury even as the steps behind her fall away. "No one insults me as you did," Vasil declares with a swing of the massive sword, and Koga sighs. He's wary of the blade. He's heard rumors that there's special treatments one can put into a melee weapon, and the fact that the Undaunted don't know many, if any, of them is one reason why their weapon carrying is so easily accepted. He thinks, and decides to ratchet things up a little more and amuse himself in the process. The music is outright nice now, and although he'd rather there be wood paneling, it's almost nice without the audio pollution. "Spoiled fool small threat. During the night blades are met, an autumn for pride," he says slowly. 575. Reference to nature. That's a haiku, baby. Time for some actual entertainment. He pulls out his sheathed katana from its sash and holds it ready. Try not to kill each other, the birthday girl declares, and Vasil Mazel charges with a huge swing of the war sword. Koga intercepts as with his thumb. He unsheathes not even a full centimeter of blade. His parry is good. Edge to edge, the massive two-handed sword grinds against the katana uselessly as he doesn't give it even a single millimeter. This woman is clearly no battle princess contestant. Koga glances around. He spots a few in the crowd. Maybe he'll challenge them later to a more friendly duel. That could be real fun, especially as they now clearly recognize him and are stifling amused laughter, or maybe giggles. Either way, she wrenches back the sword and swings faster and faster to try and get past his guard. But he was deflecting, cutting and returning bullets just the other night. This woman is nowhere near fast enough. After a particularly wild swing, he slaps away the sword with the pommel of his katana, and as she tries to get a good grip on her weapon again, he slots his sword back into place entirely. He's going to do something even more different than what was already a duel well and truly off the rails. Hubris now meets steel. Weakness is all you have brought, like water shame flows. He tries not to grin like a loon. Mocking someone in haiku form is surprisingly fun. He tucks the sheath back into his sash and takes a proper stance. His sword is more akin to a toothpick next to her weapon, but considering that he's already made a mockery of it before he fully drew his, it's fairly one-sided. She's a berserker at best, and he's already planned out his Aido technique. She makes a final reckless charge with the sword overhead, clearly intent on a killing blow to cut him in half from head to groin. He absently wonders exactly what she was on as he steps to the side, draws the blade, uses Axiom to avoid killing her as he cuts the front of the dress, and makes a point of getting every strap he could. Stepping back in behind her and sheathing the blade. It takes him perhaps 2 seconds to chain it all together. Then she stumbles, trips, and her outfit falls apart. He doesn't even look at her as her sword falls to the ground and murmuring begins. But his geta is the loudest of all as the 2 teeth on each wooden sandal clack out on the polished glass floor. A single cut is all. Trees, beasts, fools, and other things. Pride parted like flesh. He says as he inwardly giggles at the 3rd haiku of the duel. He hops out of the pit and nods to the birthday girl before rejoining Uth Tyr. He cannot help the satisfied smirk on his face.